with the first hot days coming across Europe here, I wanted to take a bit of time in this video to give you a few pieces of advice, more precisely, 5 pieces of advice on how to deal with the hotter days. It's not always easy, and if you don't know how to approach it, it can be even harder. So here's a few things that I use and that I find useful when thinking about the heat and hotter days. So the first one, we can think about resilience as the ability to stay unaffected or unchanged by either internal or external changes. And in that case, we can talk about environmental resilience and the ability to stay unchanged or unfazed in the face of heat. And I think that's something that we're unfortunately losing with time. And AC has a lot to do with it. I was talking to some friends recently who lived in Dubai for many years, so they essentially lived in a climatized world where you live at 21 degrees year-round. It's not cold in the winter, it's not hot in the summer, and they have a really hard time acclimatizing to the heat now. Even though it's less hot here than it was in Dubai in the summer, they have a really hard time because there's no AC here in Switzerland at this point in time, or very little AC. And I think we need to regain this ability to respond, or this ability to tolerate variations in temperature, and that's in the winter and in the summer. So for me, the first advice is almost like a mindset shift, where you want to see being hot as an opportunity for your body to adapt, because it will adapt. It will tolerate heat better. It will, with significant volume and time, it will make more blood volume, more plasma, and it will sweat better, and it will retain minerals better when you sweat. All those things come from exposing yourself to the heat, and for this you need to be uncomfortable. So you can almost see the heat as training for your body. It doesn't have to be hard in terms of the effort, but you just have to be in it and you have to deal with it. So that would be the first advice, is try to shift your approach, and instead of complaining because it's cold in the winter and then complaining because it's too hot in the summer, see it as an opportunity. Okay, I'm gonna sweat, but it's good for me, it's good for my body. And if you can go from only tolerating plus or minus 2 degrees from your baseline to tolerating 30 degrees in the summer and maybe -5 in the winter, doesn't mean you don't put on a coat, but maybe you put on one less layer than you would have liked to. There was this guy I followed years ago called Art Devaney. Very interesting guy, kind of at the inception of the paleo movement, ancestral fitness and such. And he used to say, always wear one less layer than what you think you should, so that you can always be a little bit uncomfortable when it comes to the cold. And I think that's true in both directions, in the cold and in the heat. So that would be the first piece of advice. Second piece of advice is in regards to the sun. I think today there's a lot, unfortunately, of messaging around the fact that the sun is bad, the sun is dangerous. But for me, that statement would be equivalent to saying that training is bad and training is dangerous because it's intense. And that's not true. What is true is that you can ruin yourself physically, mentally, hormonally, if you only did high intensity every single day, every day of the week for years and years on end, without ever listening to your body and without ever resting, and without the work capacity to absorb this amount of work and this amount of intensity. But if you have a balanced approach to training, if you do your low intensity, if you raise your work capacity, and then you're able to tolerate more high intensity, well, training is not dangerous. Training is very beneficial. Training is indispensable when it comes to health and fitness. And the same goes with the sun. What I mean by this is that I'm Irish. I usually don't tan, I burn, or I used to at least. Why? Because I stayed inside, and then I decided to go outside July 15th at 2 p.m. And of course you're gonna burn. It's just like never training and then going to try and do a high intensity cycling session with some professionals. It's not gonna go very well for you. But if you did your low intensity, if you did your volume, if you progressed little by little, you will tolerate that intensity. And it's the same with the sun, meaning that as soon as February hits around here, And as soon as the sun gets above 30 degrees on the horizon, it means that you're going to start creating vitamin D from all the rays and all the energy coming from the sun, which is going to be highly beneficial for your immune system, highly beneficial for your health. And you start exposing yourself to the sun midday in February. And then as it gets hotter and hotter, then you start to shift that towards the morning and towards the evening, where it's a little bit less intense, but you build volume, you build capacity. And through this, then you're able to better tolerate the sun. But you have to do the work, you have to build the volume. That's why you tan. Just spend enough time in the sun so you can tan without burning. That should be the goal. Because of course, if you burn day after day after day, well, you can increase your risks of skin cancer and all of those things, which we obviously don't want, right? Too much of a good thing is never a good thing. And it's true with the sun as well. So learn not to fear the sun, but respect the sun. The sun is where life comes from. There would be no life on Earth as we know it without the sun. We wouldn't be here, plants wouldn't be here, animals wouldn't be here. We need the sun, plants need the sun. So we need to not fear it, we need to respect it. And I think it's quite interesting when you start looking into history and ancient history, something that I'm fascinated by. The common thread of all religions and all ancient civilizations is the sun. The sun is at the center of everything. If you look in Islam, the prayer starts when the sun rises, when the sun sets, and when the sun is at its zenith. If you think about the Father and the Son in Christianity, you also have the sun there. If you look at Egyptians, they had an incredible understanding of the skies, not only the night sky, but the day skies. If you look at all the different megastructures around the world that we can find today, that they, 10,000 years and beyond in the past, they all had a very astute understanding of the positioning of the sun in the sky and its effect on seasons and its effect on crop harvest and on health and everything around. So we should try to learn a little bit more about this and not fear the sun, but respect it for what it actually is. That's the second piece of advice. Third piece of advice, obviously with the heat comes sweating, meaning you're losing water, you're losing minerals. So hydration is key. So you need to hydrate, you need to drink. So drink lots of fluids. If you want to compensate a little bit for the potential loss in minerals, you can add a pinch of salt in your water. Some find it revolting, I find it tasteful. So I invite you to try. You could have electrolytes in there as well, but just a little bit of something to compensate for the extra sweating that you're gonna have to go through. And another easy way to regulate your temperature is to just have a wet cloth, maybe even with ice cubes inside, and just put that on the top of your head or on the back of your neck. That is gonna have a positive effect on your central nervous system and on your sensation of heat, and it will help you regulate a little bit better and tolerate it a little bit more when it gets really hot and you can't manage it anymore. But make sure you hydrate appropriately. Fourth piece of advice is around training, because we can talk about training as well in the heat. Heat training is hot right now. It's in vogue. Videos are popping out left and right. Studies are popping out left and right. It's something that's very beneficial for training if it's done right. Very beneficial for your health as well. And one thing to remember is that because of the heat, you're gonna have a higher internal load. So you don't need as much external load to match the training intensity that you're after. What I mean by that is go easy and feel the heat and let your heart rate drift up, and those will bring positive adaptations. Obviously you need significant volume for this work to be effective. It's even used now as a way to retain adaptations that you get at altitude, but you could use it as a standalone training. I would recommend a low intensity type of approach with time and proper hydration during and after. Typically we talk about 1.5 times the water that you lost, plus 1 to 1.5 grams of sodium per liter of water, plus electrolytes, so that you can compensate for the water loss. But your body will adapt by sweating more, by retaining more minerals while it sweats, by better regulating internal temperature, and by increasing plasma volume if you do enough of it. So those are all really interesting things in regards to training. But again, you have to do it right. You have to do it intelligently. Don't just go and do high intensity training in 30-degree heat unless you really have to, unless you're training for a race that's going to be in the sun or in very hot conditions. But make sure you take into account this additional external strain of heat that is going to be imparted on you through this training. And then the last piece of advice for this video, number 5, is spend more time in the forest. Spend more time around trees. Trees are, first of all, they're magnificent. Second of all, they're really good for you. And what's interesting about trees, something I learned recently, they absorb a certain part of the electromagnetic spectrum of the light, but they refract infrared, meaning that if you were to point an infrared camera at a tree, it almost looks like a big glowing thing. It's kind of diffusing the infrared light. And we know that the infrared light is very beneficial for us, for our health, for our mitochondria. So being around trees essentially helps you filter the very strong light from the sun and then just give off the infrared that is very, very good for you. Very beneficial for your health, very beneficial for your immune system. And that probably hasn't been quantified yet regarding performance, but I wouldn't be surprised if things come out in the coming years linking that together. And also, being in a forest or by a river has a very different feel, even at equated temperatures, compared to being in the city with concrete around you. So I invite you to do the test. Go out into the city where it's concrete everywhere, concrete jungle, see how the heat feels, and then go in the forest the same day, same temperature, and tell me the difference that you feel when you do that. And it's very beneficial. It's good for our mental health as well. Spend time around trees, hear the birds sing, plant our feet into the ground or even in the water. So this is how I tend to deal with the heat. Don't fear it, respect it, use it to your advantage. I hope I was able to give you a few nuggets in this video. Also, I haven't been very active on the channel recently. Sorry about that. Going through some huge life changes right now. We're moving countries in a few days, a week actually. Big changes coming ahead. Lots of fun stuff to share with you, but I have been busy with admin, with packing, with everything that I need to deal with right now. But thanks for your patience. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you want more of those talking head videos, make sure you leave me a comment below. Let me know if you want to hear more about those kind of ideas and concepts. Very interested about light right now, very interested in all those things, and I'd be happy to do some more technical videos, presentation style. So if you're still here after 13 minutes and you're interested, leave me comments. That way I'll know that it's piquing your interest and I can go into it a bit more. All right, thanks for your attention. I hope you guys are good. Enjoy the heat, enjoy the pretty days that are ahead, and hope everything is good. I'll talk to you in the next video.